Hello, my name is Carl Surrey and this is a video tutorial for two Facebook groups, fans of Serif software and Affinity Designer and Photo group. Now this is an adaptation of a Photoshop tutorial which I saw on a cover disc from a magazine I used to get called Digital Photo, which unfortunately is no longer made in the UK. So this is what I'm going to attempt to try on Affinity Photo, and it is to create a textured portrait like this one here, where the image looks like it's on the wall, along with some extra sort of pattern, be it the floral design on this side or the text on this side. And this is a sort of another variation of the same thing, where instead of text I've got some music and a different floral pattern. So I'm going to sort of try and recreate this, but this time with an image of a man, just to change it, and a different floral pattern and a different image of some music. Now all the images I've used in any of these pictures have all come from Pixabay.com, and the four that I'm going to use in this particular video I will add links to in the description for the video. Now this is sort of open and available to Affinity Photo users of any sort of experience, but I'm sort of aiming it more at beginners of photo editing and Affinity Photo, because I'm going to use the different types of patterns, this one being black on white and this one being sort of white on a black background, to sort of demonstrate different blend modes and sort of how they work, and the use of layer masks. So like I said, it is open to people of all experience, but it is mainly aimed at beginners. So let's start this. First of all, you need a wall image, a texture of any sort. It doesn't have to be a wall, but the wall is sort of a bit more interesting as you've got a few cracks and different colours and shades and what have you, and it will make it slightly more interesting than just say like a paper texture, which would just be one texture, one colour. And then we have the portrait image that you want to use. Now it is really advisable to have a portrait that has a fairly bland, plain background. Sort of the plainer the better. If you do have any distractions, minor distractions somewhere, clone them out or in-paint them out. And there are various videos that show you how to do this, but this one has there is a slight texture to the background, but it is basically just plain white. So we're going to add this into the layer, the wall layer. Now in the past I've always I would do this by coming up to select all, which is Control and A, then I come to the edit menu and do copy, which is Control and C, go to the wall, the background layer that I want to put it on, and then I'll come down to paste or Control and V. Now in Affinity Photo they've made this slightly easier, because when you have this particular layer open, all you need to do is right click on the layer over here, just do copy, come to the layer you want to put it on, and edit menu, paste. So it cuts out a lot of that selecting, copying, pasting. You can just do copy, paste. It's a lot easier and better in my opinion. Right, so once you have your image in place, just come to the move tool. I'm just going to roughly put this in the center, and I'm going to come to one of the corners and as you can see, the arrow changes to a double-ended arrow, and I'm going to hold down the control key, which will make it stay in proportion as I increase the size, and then just click and drag this out to roughly the size where you want it. I'm just going to bring this down so I don't have to worry too much about this bottom edge because it's going off the image. But yes, I think I'll leave. I think I'll just come. In fact, I can come right over to the side edge. Then I don't have to worry about that edge either. So yes, I quite like that in that position. Right. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to click and highlight the background wall image, and I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to go to duplicate, and once that has been made, I'm going to click and drag this above this gentleman's image like so, and thus that will hide that image that is now below it. Now this is where we're going to make our first layer mask. Now a layer mask you can make by clicking on this icon here, which looks a bit like the Japanese flag, a circle within a white square. And when you click on this, it will add the layer mask to the layer that is highlighted, and it will make a white layer mask. Now the white layer mask will allow everything to show through, so that you won't see actually any effect when you click on it. But then you paint black onto the layer mask, and it will hide certain areas so you can see the image that is below it, which is in our case this image of this man. Now you can also add a black layer mask which will hide everything, and then you can paint white onto it to bring back the layer that is on the top. So depending on how much you want to bring in or take away will depend on whether you use a white or a black layer mask. Now I need white layer mask for this tutorial, but I will quickly show you how to make a black layer mask. If you hold down the Alt key on a PC, I'm not 100% certain what it is on a Mac, I think it might be called Option, but if you hold down the Alt key and click on the layer mask, it adds a black layer mask, which, like I said before, it will hide the effect of whatever is on that layer. So it has now made that wall layer invisible, so you can see the image below. But like I said, I don't want that, so I'll just press Ctrl and Z to get rid of that, and without holding down the Alt key, I will just click on the layer mask, and it has now added a white layer mask. And as you can see, it has no effect because it is allowing everything on this layer to be shown through. And if I just drop that down, you can see it is the layer mask that is highlighted. It is important that it is the layer mask that is highlighted, because if it was the top layer that was highlighted, we'd be painting black onto it, which would ruin the image. So once you have your layer mask highlighted, you can come to the brush tool, paintbrush tool, or you can press B on the keyboard, and you need to have black as your foreground colour. Now size wise will depend on your particular image, but I will leave that. Mine's currently set on just over 1000 pixels. I will leave it on that for now. I will increase the opacity slightly. I'll go up to about 50%, and hardness is on 0. And then hopefully you can see this as the cursor is moving around. I'm not actually clicking anything yet, I'm just moving the cursor around, and you can see the image below. So you can find where the face is on the portrait that you have underneath. So I'm going to start with the eyes, and I'm just going to click on that. So I'm just going to sort of just click around a little bit so I've got a better idea of where this gentleman is. Now I'm going to bring back more of the face than anywhere else, because obviously the face is the focal point. Alright, I've done that at 50%. I'm now going to lower the opacity down around 20-25%, and then just slowly bring back some of the rest of this. Now this is all down to personal taste and really the image that you've selected to use. You don't necessarily want to bring it back all 100%, because then it won't look like it's part of the wall that you are adding it to. Right, I think I will leave that like that. Right, so moving on, we now want to come to our first texture, and I'm going to use this one, which is a sort of medieval floral design. But the main reason why I picked this one, because it was like a white design on the black background. So we can start to look at our first sort of blending modes. So again, I will just right click on that background, click copy, come to back to the image, and come to edit and paste. Now again, I'm going to come to the move tool, hold down the control key in one of the corners, and then just resize and reposition this like so it's covering the whole image like that. Right, now because this layer is on the top, it is hiding the image below. So what we want to do now is to change the blending mode of this layer. Now where it says normal here in this layer panel, there's a drop down menu with all sorts of different blending modes. Now many other photo editing program, they put a little dividing line between certain sections of blending modes. They don't do this in Affinity Photo, but it is roughly around the multiply area. These particular blending modes will work best with a white background, and the ones around the screen area work best with a black background, and the ones around the overlay area will work best with grey-ish backgrounds. But you could try any of these to see which one appeals to your particular taste. But I'm going to go with screen. It will remove all the black from the image, just leaving me this white pattern. So now I'm going to add a layer mask to this newly blended pattern, and again it is the layer mask that is being highlighted. So again I will come to the paintbrush tool. Now this time I'm going to start off by having the opacity at 100%, and black is my foreground colour, and I'm going to increase the size of the brush. So you can do this by the left and right square brackets, which is the keys next to the P on the keyboard, because I definitely don't want any of the pattern on this side of the image or over my gentleman here. Now I'll just quickly lower the size down and lower the size down and take it off of this around his body. I'll just leave a little bit coming close to the top of his head. Right, now I will quickly just change back to the white as the foreground colour, and I'm going to lower the opacity down to about 30%, and as you can see I can bring back some of that pattern. I just want a sort of slight hint of it, maybe a bit too, so the opacity a bit more down to, I don't necessarily want to get rid of it totally. Right, it's just a hint of it over there, and I will go back to black as the foreground colour, and what I'm just going to sort of click randomly around this other side of the image. I'll raise the opacity a bit just to make this a bit patchy, and again you can tinker with the opacities and just help blend this into the wall image. How far you take the removing of the pattern is up to you for your personal taste. Let's remove it mainly from that edge. Alright, so yes, I think I'm happy with that. We've got a sort of texture on the wall. So now we want the texture for the other side. So this is where I have my music sheet here, and this is like black on a white background, so this will need a different blending mode. So I will right click that, copy, come to my image, edit and paste. Now again I'll come to the move tool. Now this time I don't necessarily have to spread this over the whole image, I only really want it on this side of the man's face anyway. So let me just resize this slightly by holding down the control key. Yes, I think that'll do, roughly about there. I can just double check by changing the blend mode. So whereas screen on the previous pattern hid the black but left the white, if I use multiply now, it will hide the white and keep the black. So I've got that roughly where I want it. Alright, let's just put that about there, I think. Right, then we'll add the layer mask, and again come to our brush tool. Black is the foreground colour, and again I will start with the higher opacity. I'll leave on about 80 this time, because I want to definitely remove from the face. So the higher the opacity, the quicker I can do that. Whether you want to sort of blend one half into the other. It depends on how high an opacity you use for your brush. Then it's just like before, it's just a case of randomly clicking on this texture at different opacities, so you help sort of blend this in to the wall to make it look more like it is actually on the wall. And like I said, you still have a bit of this white texture that I left behind that is still also there as well, so if you want that to show through better, you can take that music away, but you can use music or text or whatever you want, or just another pattern. This is mainly just to demonstrate the difference of the different blending modes. Right, I think we are pretty much near to as much as I want to take off on that. Let me just center that again. Right, now this last part is something I've never seen done in this particular way before, but it is quite clever. We're going to add a vignette. Now you can add vignettes in various ways. There's lots of different tutorials around that will show you how to do this. In fact, you can even do a vignette from one of these filters. I can't remember which one it is now. Here we go, vignette. It's on the color menu, so you could do it from that way, but I want to show you this way, which I personally have never seen done like this before. So let me just highlight this top layer to make sure the new layer will go above this. So I'm going to add a new pixel layer, and then I'm going to come to the gradient tool, and the type I'm going to make elliptical. Now it will, I think by default it always makes it this sort of grey colour, but you just need to drag out one of these nodes and then drag out the other one, and then you can see where the center point is. So if you then bring this center point into the center of the image, roughly, it's a just by eye thing, and then I'm going to zoom out so I can see the ends of these handles. I'm going to hold down the shift key so it keeps them nice and straight, and I'm just going to roughly bring them into the edge of the image, then press Ctrl and 0 to resize that back to the center. So now I want to change the color of these nodes. So if you click on this color box here, the color thing will open up, and as you can see, this left hand side one is white, which is currently where the center node is, and the end nodes are grey, which is where the other ends of these nodes are. So as this is the larger node, this is the first color we are going to alter. And if you just click on the color panel here, we can pick whatever color we want. Now the color we want is 50% grey. So all you need to do is to change all of these to 1 to 8. So that is 50% grey in the middle. So if you click and highlight on the other end and then click on the color panel, now we want is another grey, but we need a darker grey, and I'm going to do this by just clicking in 30 on all of these. If all of these are the same color, same number, it will give you a grey. So the lower the number, the darker the grey, and obviously the higher the number, the lighter the grey. I don't want to go for absolute black at the edge, so I'm going to stick with it 128 in the middle and 30 for the outside edges. Now this is where the different blend mode will come into effect, because like I said to you earlier on, the blend modes in and around overlay are best effect on greys. So overlay, soft light and hard light are the best ones, and I particularly find hard light to be quite good for this. And then I can lower the opacity if you want it not to be such a dramatic vignette. And you can also move the center slider of the gradient tool to increase or decrease how much of a vignette you bring to the image. Right, I think that'll do there, and I think I will leave it at that. Now, one thing I have noticed, I don't know whether other people get this problem, but sometimes when I add things like a new pixel layer and what have you, it doesn't quite go down the edge of the image. I've got a white line appearing, so I'll just quickly use the move tool just to nudge it out slightly wider, and then I don't have that white line coming down the edge there. So that is the end of the tutorial. All you need to do now is to save, either save as, and so you save all the layers as they are, or you can use export and just export the image as you see it. So hopefully this will teach people a bit about blending modes and about using layer masks. Thank you very much for watching.